Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. I appreciate all the subscribers, all the new ones, and all the ones who have been around for a while. I really appreciate the support. So today we're working on this Jeep Liberty. We have an issue with the window where it just comes down by itself. It's not going up, it's not going down. We do the typical tape on it to hold it up. So what we're going to do is show you what the issue is. Now typically with this it's going to be a window regulator. And what that does is it has a motor and it basically moves your window up and down. So on the Jeeps here we have one screw here right in the handle, Phillips head, and then here we're going to have a little cap, a plastic cap behind here. We're going to have to pop the cap off and there'll be a Phillips screw behind there. Then we're going to get this panel off. We're going to take a look at the problem, but first I want to show you a new regulator and how it works. So here we have a new window regulator, and you can see there's a motor. It usually comes with a motor. You have this tube here, you have a track, and then you have this piece here. Now this is actually where the bottom of the window hooks into. There's going to be two posts on the bottom of the window, so these clips that you see here are going to have to be pulled out, and you can see the track here. And really all it is it's almost like a worm gear. And when you hit the motor, this worm gear here, in here, the track, is going to turn. And that's going to cause this to go up and down. So that's basically all it is. So what happens with these is typically this will snap. It's pretty common. And then obviously this is what holds the window up or down. It holds it in place. So when that goes, you're going to have play in here. This is going to go up and down. So with all that being said, with explaining how this works, let's get into installing it. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do here is we're going to pop off this little cap that's covering a Phillips head screw in the back. And your Phillips head screw will be behind here. We want to put that in a safe place. Sometimes it'll pop off and get lost. You don't want that to get lost. So now we're going to go ahead and unscrew it. And there we have the one screw there. And then we're going to move over to this handle here. And we're going to remove that Phillips head inside of there. And that's basically the only two screws that hold this panel on. Now you're going to have a bunch of clips around the door. We're going to have to snap this panel off. But first we need to remove the screw. Okay, so now that we have our screws out, we've removed the screws. There's only two of them. You don't see them, but behind here there's these white plastic posts that snap into holes all around the door. So what we're going to do is start from the bottom. I'm just going to pull on it and I'm going to remove this door panel. Now don't worry about it. It's going to sound like it's breaking stuff, and sometimes the clips do break. It really depends on, if it's colder out, the clips might break. They're just plastic. You can get replacement ones, but typically whenever I've done this I haven't broken any. So I'm going to start at the bottom and I'm going to just start removing this panel. Okay, so here you see the plastic clips here. These are the holes that the posts go into. And you can see here, that's what the post looks like. Sometimes they come out, you can just slide them back in. So we didn't have any casualties there. Now there is a couple more things we have to do here. All right, so where the door release connects, you're going to see it. Hopefully it's not too dark for you, but we have a little clip here, and it's really easy to remove. You just push it off to one side. So here we have the door panel, and here's the mechanism I was telling you about, where the door release hooks up to. You just push this back and then you pull it out. Okay, now here we have a connection that we disconnected, just showing you the back view of it. And this is basically your panel with all your switches on them. And we remove the one down here. So that's the back side of the door panel, and you can see the studs that we have here, right here, going all around the door. And we're missing one here, you can see, but they slide in, so I'm going to look for that. Could be, I think it's still stuck in the door. There's another one. So usually these are the most tricky because they're in the middle, and then of course you have one here on top. And here's a close-up of the door clip right here. Just plastic. None of them broke, so that's good. So we're going to continue removing the weather shield from the door panel so we can access the mechanism we need to replace. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to remove the speaker. It's just easier. We need to reach in there. There's a few holes in the door, but it's not wide open, so it's a little tricky sometimes to get things in there. So we're going to go ahead and remove the speaker first. Then we're going to remove the weather stripping. Now there is kind of like a sticky tar material all around that. You don't want to throw that out. You don't want to get rid of that. You want to peel it off as neat as you can to preserve that, because we're going to have to stick this back on later. So here we have the speaker. It's not in the greatest shape, but nevertheless, we removed it. You can see the electrical connection right there for the speakers. And you can see our speaker connection right here. What you want to do is just press down, slide this red connector down, and then there's a little tab here. Press in on it, and then pull it out. So that's what we did. It's just a locking mechanism right here, and just another view of the connector. So we have the panel removed. You can see we have some access here. You can see the regulator tube right here. There's a little clip that holds the end of the tube on here. We'll have to remove that. And you're going to have some bolts here. These are 10mm. We're going to have to remove those. This side's going to be the side where the motor is. So I have a 10mm socket on here, and I'm going to go ahead and start removing the bolts out of there. Okay, so I removed the tape just so I could bring the window down. And if you remember in the beginning of the video, I showed you that new piece. Now this one's metal. The new one is plastic. That's just how aftermarket is. Should be okay. Now we have these two clips here. We have posts. You can see the window right here. On the bottom of the window, there's a post here. There's a bracket with two posts on it, and you see one here. And what's holding that on are these clips here. It's hard to see them, but they're just clips that slide in there. So we're going to have to remove them, and then we'll push the window back up, we'll tape it, and then we can put the new unit in. So I'm just going to take a screwdriver, and you can see that's what the clip looks like right here. So I'm going to go ahead and get the other side here. And you can see there's our other clip. So now what I'm going to do is bring this forward, and I need to get these posts out of these holes right here. So that's what I'm going to do right now. I'm just going to try to pull it forward, get the window back up, and secure the window with the tape again so we can remove the old regulator. Alright, so I just pulled back on this bracket a little bit, and we were able to push the window forward, and it released from these holes here in this bracket. And you can see what happened here. You can see what the problem is. This is actually the worm gear from the regulator that broke apart. Typically this is going to happen first, where the tubing is going to start breaking apart. So that's definitely the issue, as I suspected. So now we're going to go ahead and continue removing the old regulator. Everything's loose. We're just going to release this clip right here that holds the end of the tube on, and we can remove it. Okay, so this is part of the fun part. The other fun part, the other half of the fun, is putting this back in, because like I said, you've got only a certain amount of space here to manipulate it. But one of the things you have to disconnect is the wire to the motor. Now here's the motor, the old motor right here. And you can see the connector, and all you're going to do is just slide this connector over and then press this tab down and pull out. So that's our connector for the motor. Now we can actually start manipulating this out of here.
Ten minutes later.
Now I do recommend too, while you have the door open, a lot of these are prone to rusting inside your door. You can use something like this. This is very good crown. My neighbor hooks me up with this. Very cool guy. So I'm going to spray some of this inside the door while I've got it open. Why not? It's going to help protect it from rust. Okay, now looking at the new unit, it did come with hardware. It did come with the bolts. So I'm going to go ahead and use the ones that came with this. Sometimes it comes with them, sometimes it may not. You might have to take them off your old unit to put on here. And I'm just going to put the top one on and leave it open a little bit so we can latch it into the door. And we have the two bolts here. And I'm also going to remove on the motor, there's three. I'm going to take these off, and I'm going to start putting it in the vehicle.
10 minutes later.
So we have it in. It was a little bit of work trying to finagle it, trying to get it in there properly. That's why I left this one bolt just a little bit loose so I could hook it onto here. And then I'm putting the bottom bolts in. And we do have the bolts for the motor. We're going to have to mount that. And we also have the electrical connection right here for the motor. We're going to have to hook that to the new motor. I'm also going to remove these clips on the new unit here. Those are the locking clips for the base of the window. So you just have to be patient with it. Now I've got it in there. I've pressed in what I don't pull this out of this hole. What I do is you can release this little plastic clip from the back side. You just kind of pull up on it and it clips from the back side there. So I've got that back on. We have this in position to receive the window. I've got to bring the window down so these posts go in these holes, and then I can slip those lock pins in. You can see we have our bolt on the top in, we have the two bolts on the bottom, and we have the motor, which we've, from the back, was a little tricky, but from the back we hooked the electrical connector back up. We've got another bolt here, and of course one here. So I'm going to continue by, I'm going to remove the tape from the door. I'm going to bring that window down, and we're going to try to get it in these two holes here, the pegs that are on the bottom of the window. You can see here I have it lined up, and they popped in. You can see the gold pegs here. There's one on the other side, it's a little darker, and I was able to slip this clip in. So I'm just going to do the same with the other side. you'll hear it snap, and you can see that's in there, that looks tight. So we're gonna go ahead and try the window. Alright, so we have it together, we have the clips in there. I'm just gonna put the key on the on position and see if this window goes up and down. We have everything hooked up properly. We do have the door panel, but we don't need to hook that up to make this work. Basically, all that's on the door panel is for the locks and also to adjust the rear view mirror. So I'm going to go on the center console, hit the switch, and hopefully we can get the window going up and down. Now that we have what we need to get done, the motor's in, the regulator's all in, we're going to have to put the weather shield sound barrier back on, making sure that we bring the wires through, and we're going to put the speaker back on. We're just reversing the process. So I'm not going to talk through it. I'm just going to go ahead and hook everything back up and put the door panel back on. And as always, if you're working on a car for somebody, always make sure you leave it the way that it came or better. So we're just going to clean it up a little bit. Okay guys, so that's it. That's how you replace a window regulator. Now it is going to vary from vehicle to vehicle. This is a 2004 Jeep Liberty. That's how you do it here. Most of the Jeeps are going to be the same. Just make sure you get the right part. Make sure you get the left or the right side, because they are different. You need a left, right, rear. Just make sure you get those. And you know, it just takes a little bit of effort. You could see it wasn't that hard. You know, the hardest part I think is trying to finagle the new piece and get the old piece out. But I hope the video helped, and again, I appreciate all the subscribers, and we'll see you on the next one.